Hello, welcome as always to Cash Practice Training Tuesdays. So today in my mastermind group call, we had a handful of the practice owners who are transitioning out of network. They have a multi-therapist practices, and they're transitioning out of network. And the topic came up about how to retain. A lot of topics actually came up about the transition in today's coaching call, but how to retain those patients who were patients before, that you were in network with their insurance, and then they've called back to come in again and they don't know that you're out of network. And I'll just have a little side note here first, is that some states may, and you have to check with an attorney in your state that's familiar with this, but some states may have laws in place that you do have to reach out to all past patients whenever you're dropping certain contracts, letting the people with that insurance know preemptively that this is happening. But not all, not all states would have that. I'm not totally sure. I'm not an attorney, so I can't say for sure, but that's something you want to check on first. If you're not legally required to do so, I definitely don't recommend that you send out that letter that, saying, hey, we're not a network with Blue Cross anymore. I would highly recommend anyone that's going to call back to come in and see you again, let that conversation happen on the phone when they make that call. Super important. So let's say you don't have to do that, and you're getting this call from someone who doesn't know that since they came in last, that you're no longer in network with their insurance. Before just going straight into it, I know a lot of staff, especially those established receptionists and administrators who are used to having insurance discussions, who bring it up as like the first thing that they want to talk about is price and insurance and all that kind of stuff. You really got to make sure that whoever's answering the phone is super well trained on this. And there's a lot that goes into this transition when it comes to whoever is answering the phone. But today I wanted to just give you one really quick, simple tip that they can incorporate, or you can incorporate, to help increase the amount of people that call, hear that you're no longer in network with their insurance, and decide to continue and be a patient anyhow. And that is that you've equipped them with, maybe it's access to the EMR. If they don't immediately know who they're talking to and what they were treated for last time and when that was and who they saw, then you need to be able to have that information quickly. So being able to quickly bring up their name and see, okay, they were treated 2 years ago by so-and-so therapist for their shoulder. If they're calling back, they clearly had at least a decent, experience. And that experience, you need to get them to relive it, to bring it up fresh in their mind again, if possible, before bringing up the fact that you're no longer in network, for obvious reasons, right? If you can get them to reiterate and say, oh, I see you were here for your shoulder. A couple years ago, you worked with Mary. That's great. I'm so excited to that you had a good enough experience that you want to come back in. Sorry that you're hurting again. But how did things go after you saw Mary, and just kind of get them to, not after. If you could just remind me, what was your experience like with Mary when you were here last? And just getting them to verbalize what a great experience they had. And again, it's a safe enough question to ask, because if they didn't have a good experience, they probably wouldn't be calling you back anyhow. So I think in most cases, it's going to be a safe question to ask, and getting them to verbalize the positive experience they had before you then go into. So in order to kind of blanking on the words exactly how I coached my students today, but I think it was something like, in order to maintain the level of care that you received and the ability to provide that kind of experience and result that you got with your shoulder with Mary 2 years ago, we've had to go out of network with Blue Cross, because they were, and then you can kind of explain why that was. They were essentially, forcing us to take, less money for our services, and that if we did, we would have to see more patients per hour, not as much one-on-one time, all those things. So if you've changed your services, you go out of network and say, you know what, we actually wanted to spend a full hour one-on-one, and that's what we're doing now. But in order to do so, we had to drop that contract because they weren't allowing that kind of one-on-one care. Then you can present what you're doing new. But if it's the same as what they got before and you just need to drop the contract, you can still say, in order to maintain the level of care you received so that all of our patients can get the type of experience and results that you had, we did need to move out of network with Blue Cross for this, and that reason. But so that's, take home point is get them to quickly relive the experience, verbalize how great it was, and then you use that as an example of, in order to maintain that kind of experience and be able to give that to you again, we had to move out of network, and this is what that looks like. So that's my quick tip today. It's a simple thing that you can train your staff to do. If they're immediately going into, oh, by the way, I see you were here 2 years ago. Since then, are you still on Blue Cross? Yes. Okay. Well, we're not in network anymore. Like, how many people are you going to keep on when you go about it that way? And I promise you, for those who have been answering the phone in an insurance-based clinic and they're making that transition, if you don't make sure you train them on these new methods and ways to have those conversations in a skillful, high converting manner, you are going to lose a ton of patients that would have otherwise said, yes, I'll still come to see you guys. So hope that helps. If it does, if any of these broadcasts have been helpful to you, please tag a practitioner, someone who is a practice owner, or who maybe wants to own their own practice someday and not deal with the headaches of insurance companies and Medicare and all that kind of stuff. Please tag them in this, share it with them, at least give this a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys tuning in each Tuesday, whether you're here live or watching the replay. Deeply appreciate it. We'll see you at the next one.